Well, our sketch is now fully drawn, but the problem is that this sketch is currently blue, or as indicated here, it is underdefined. Underdefined means that you have drawn the sketch and may have fully dimensioned it, but you haven't fixed its position on the sketch plane, so you haven't defined your sketch. Either it's missing a dimension or its position on the sketch plane is not defined. Now, we can see that if I select the line endpoints and drag the cursor, the shape's position on the sketch plane changes. Well, I just need to define the position of the sketch on the sketch plane to make it fully defined. For this, I can use the Smart Dimension tool to easily set the distance of this point from the origin, which requires a horizontal distance. Here, I choose it as 225, and I need a vertical distance. I choose this as 30. Now we can see that the sketch turns black and becomes fully defined. Why? Because we've added all the necessary dimensions and also defined the sketch's position on the sketch plane. I delete these dimensions, this time to convert the sketch from underdefined to fully defined. I can select this point, hold Control and select this point, and from the Relations section, I choose the Coincident relation. This means that the 2 points we selected are coincident with each other. We can see the coincident relation here. To go one step back, I press Ctrl-Z to revert the sketch to its original position and remove the coincident relation. Now, the question is, how do we place the origin at this point here or at the center of this line segment? Well, what probably comes to your mind is that this dimension is 100, and we'll set a dimension of 50 for this length. So what should I do? First, I need to align this line horizontally with the origin point. So I select the line or one of its endpoints, like this point, hold Control and this point, and then choose the horizontal relation. Now, this line segment or these 2 points are horizontal with each other. This means if I drag the cursor up or down, the sketch doesn't move vertically but can shift horizontally. So I move the sketch here and place it. Now, at this stage, I select the Smart Dimension tool. Choose this line segment and my origin point, and set a dimension of 50. Now you can see the sketch is fully defined, with the origin placed at the center of the line segment. I press Ctrl-Z. Press Ctrl-Z again. Press Ctrl-Z again to revert the sketch to its previous position, and one more time press Ctrl-Z to remove the horizontal relation for these 2 points. This time, we're using a different approach. SolidWorks shows us the midpoints of line segments. When you hover over the line, the yellow point that appears highlights the midpoint of the line segment. Or, for this line segment, this yellow point is at the midpoint. I select this point, hold Control, select this point as well, and then choose the coincident relation. Now, we can see that, much more easier, our origin is positioned here, and the sketch is fully defined. So we had an underdefined state where the sketch was blue, meaning the sketch was not yet fully constrained. Once we fully define the sketch, it turns black to indicate it is fully constrained. But there's another state called overdefined. What does that mean? That means you've set all required dimensions and the sketch is fully defined, but you've added one extra dimension beyond what's needed, and this is not correct from SolidWorks' perspective. How can we now make our sketch overdefined? I select the Smart Dimension tool. Now, for example, I set this dimension to 50, and I also select this line and this line as equal. Now, if I set a dimension for this line, for example, 51, SolidWorks quickly shows us that adding this dimension will make the sketch overdefined or unable to solve. Do you want to make this dimension driven? Means just for display purposes? Or do you want to leave this dimension driving? So we select Leave this dimension driving to convert the sketch as overdefined. You can see that SolidWorks highlights overdefined elements in yellow. And here shows us that our sketch is overdefined. How can I take the sketch out of the overdefined state? Suppose we've drawn a very complex sketch, and it's not easy to figure out which dimension is causing your sketch to be overdefined. For this purpose, I double-click on Overdefined, and a window opens on the left side called SketchXpert. Here, when I select the Diagnose option, it displays 3 solutions, each of which, if applied, will resolve the overdefined state of my sketch. The first solution tells me that the distance 12, which is shown here as this dimension, should be deleted. The next solution tells me to delete the distance 29, or this dimension. And the third solution tells me to delete the equal relation, which is shown here. After applying any of these solutions, such as the second solution, and selecting Accept, the sketch will transition from an overdefined state to a fully defined state. So, we have now learned how to resolve an overdefined sketch and achieve a fully defined state. But how can we take the sketch from the underdefined state to fully defined? Suppose we've drawn a more complex sketch, and one dimension is missing in the sketch. How can we figure out which dimension is missing? For this purpose, we simply grab the points of the line segments in the sketch and reposition them. Notice that we never grab the line segment itself. So, I select one of the points that is blue, like this point, and I reposition it. I'm moving the cursor in any direction, and I observe that this line segment does not rotate, only its length is changing. What does this mean? It means that a dimension might be missing here. Or I grab this point and move it. Again, it's observed that the length of this line segment is changing. So I can assign a dimension to it. Or I can even set the distance of this point from the line. So, by grabbing the endpoints of the line segments that are blue, notice that we only grab the points, and reposition them to figure out how to make the sketch as fully defined and which dimension we haven't assigned yet. Here, I select the Smart Dimension tool and set this dimension as 50 to make it fully defined. The final tip is that to set a dimension for this line or any line that is neither vertical nor horizontal, when you select them, SolidWorks automatically defines the dimension as the line's length. If you move the cursor upward, it defines the horizontal dimension of the line. And if you move the cursor to the right or left, it defines the vertical dimension of the line. We aim to create sketches in SolidWorks that are fully defined, indicated by their black color. But if the sketch is underdefined, as shown here, we can exit the sketch and save it in Feature Manager Design Tree without any issue. It's better that all sketches you create in SolidWorks are fully defined. In this exercise, we first sketched a shape. Next, we applied the necessary relations to the sketch. Then, using the Smart Dimension tool, we defined the dimensions. And finally, we achieved a fully defined sketch.